How do we, as Christian conservatives, raise up a generation of children that is not afraid to stand up for truth? Well, Dr. Trent Talbot is the CEO and founder of Brave Books, a children's book publishing company that promotes Christian and traditional values. When his first daughter, Charlotte, was born and he discovered all of the harmful content that is aimed at our children, Dr. Talbot stepped back from his ophthalmology practice to push back. Trent and his wife, Bethany, have 3 children, and he joins me today to talk about how we can go on the offense and protect the hearts and minds of the next generation. This is the Heidi St. John podcast. Stick around. I think you're going to be encouraged. Before I jump into the show today, I want to remind you that we are doing a poll over at Spotify. You guys can leave comments over there and you can participate in our polls, and you can forward this podcast so other people can hear it. I hope you guys will do that. Check it out at Spotify. All right, I'm really excited to have my guest on the show with me. Dr. Trent Talbot is here. All right, so Trent, welcome to the podcast. I'm really glad you're here.
Hey, Heidi, thanks for having me. Excited to be here.
Well, I am excited that you're here. You guys know I'm a super fan of Brave Books and what y'all are doing. I've been promoting my friend Kirk over at the libraries. You guys are not messing around with what's going on in the culture. You're not sitting around just talking about it. You're actually making a difference. I'm really curious because you have had a successful ophthalmology practice in the past. What in the world, Trent? Why would you leave what is kind of a shoo-in and start Brave Books?
Well, I had a daughter. That was the big
That'll
thing.
do it.
Charlotte was born in the summer of 2020, which is like
the summer of love. That's what we call it here in Seattle. Yes.
Yeah. Peak COVID craziness. And it's sort of like whenever you get a new car and you see that new car everywhere you go.
Yep.
It's not that everybody else bought that car, and it's just that it's increasing your level of awareness. I had no idea that there was such a war on the hearts, minds, and souls of our kids until Charlotte was born. And it's just like every day after she was born, I would see something new, whether it was Anti-Racist Baby being the #1 book on Amazon, walking into a Barnes & Noble, seeing the whole, indoctrination spread, that trailer for the film Cuties. I saw that when I was holding her in my arms when she was like 2 weeks old, and just all one after another. My best friend was gifted, his 7-year-old daughter was gifted the latest Nancy Drew book, which had a trans character in it. And one thing after another. And for whatever reason, it just stuck with me. I couldn't sort of get out of my head. And then over the next 6 months, this vision for Brave Books started to come into my head, and Freedom Island. And I just thought it'd be really cool. And I felt that there was a strong need for a brand that parents could trust because me and my wife were talking, and people were sending us books, or we were looking at things to start to read to Charlotte, and we wanted to vet everything. And I was like, man, there should just be a brand that I know is like rock solid, that's great content that she'll love, but that we just trust implicitly. And so that was our vision. And yeah, decided to leave my practice and start it, and it's been a wild ride.
I can't believe it, because you guys you're just a couple of years old. I mean, Brave Books is a little bit of a baby, and you've made a huge splash. I mean, the people are talking about what you're doing. I'm curious to know, because you and I, before the show today, we're talking a little bit about Scholastic. Most of my listeners are familiar with them. Scholastic's been in the schools. For like 100 years, I feel like, absolutely, they're in the 70s, and here we are, 2023. And this is not the Scholastic that, people who are my age remember. These people are openly indoctrinating children. They're talking about transgenderism. You correctly pointed out that Feminist Baby and some of these other books, which are in our libraries, are being marketed to children. So when you go into the library, the books that they put out where your little ones can see it and pick up and go through are books that are pushing an agenda. And you guys are hoping to change that. Tell listeners a little bit about this series. So what is Freedom Island, and a little bit about how Brave Books works?
Okay, well, let me just touch on Scholastic real quick.
Yes.
Scholastic, we tend to get really upset at libraries or the ALA, but somebody has to publish these books. Somebody has to distribute these books, and Scholastic is the elephant in the
Yep.
room when it comes to children's book. When it comes to children's books, they're the world's largest children's book publisher, by far the world's largest children's book distributor. So they're the ones that get all of these books in libraries and schools. And a lot of librarians, they'll just like check off like the package that Scholastic recommends. They're not looking through every single title, but it's Scholastic that recommends these books, and so Scholastic is something that we have to address because they have over 75,000 book fairs every year, and all these books are in there, and kids are scrolling through the pages, seeing these things, buying them, and so.
Well, and it's not just the pushing of leftist ideology. I mean, some of these books are out and out pornography.
Oh, yeah.
And I think parents need to understand that we're not talking about innocent, somebody had a new idea or somebody wants to talk about transgenderism. We're talking about erotica. We're talking about things that are just out and out, should have been labeled porn and not put in front of children.
Yes.
But of course, the schools are doing that now.
Yeah, it's sickening. And, you see all these videos of school board meetings where parents will get on and will get up and read and show images. Those are books that Scholastics are distributing. And yeah, it's straight up porn. And so I think they need competition, and I expect some big news over the next couple months of us doing that.
Yeah, it's exciting. So you guys launched a subscription service, and several of your authors are friends of mine. I'm really excited to see where you're going, but tell us a little bit about the subscription service and how it works. Yeah.
So the way I think every other publisher works is they create the files that they create the files for the book. Somebody prints the book. They ship those books to Amazon or Ingram. Ingram does fulfillment to Barnes & Noble, and they make and they don't have a relationship with their customers. We had a different model from the beginning, and everything goes through our website. We have our Freedom Island Book Club, which is our vision for the Freedom Island Book Club is for the next 50 to 100 years, when Christian conservative parents or grandparents, when their kiddos hit 3 to 5 years old, they start their subscription, and they get a new picture book in the mail every single month that teaches a different value, whether it's gender reality, hard work, importance of family, honesty, whatever it is. They get a new book every single month for 50 months, about 4 years. And then it switches over to 2 chapter books a month, and they'll get that for 5 years. So from the time they're 3 to 4 to the time they become a teenager, 13, 14, they're growing in this world that we've built on Freedom Island with our characters. We've got the good guys, Team Brave, Bongo, Rebel, Asher, Valor, and Eva. And then you've got the villains, Blackheart, Culture the Vulture. And kids love it. And with their very first book, they get this big 4x6 poster, and they get stickers and Freedom Island flags so they can mark everywhere they've been on the map. And kids just they just fall in love with the world that we've built. And so we want to, with our books, we want the books to grow with the kids, the characters to grow with the kids, the topics to grow with the kids. And because we can't shelter our kids. That's a failing strategy. They need to be equipped with truth, a solid foundation of truth. And they need to think through these things before they really go out into the world where they're going to be bombarded with these ideas. And so that's our prayer, is that Brave Books can help parents instill these values into their kids when they're young, so that they're ready.
Well, and the truth is, we want to hide our kids from the culture because it is so toxic. It is so bad right now. And you talked just briefly about the American Library Association. Listen, I've been railing against these guys for the last 5 years at least. The American Library Association is a wicked, evil, corrupt organization, and they are absolutely soliciting this garbage in the libraries. And if you go and you read the National Library Association's values and what they want your children exposed to this stuff, and they don't care how old they are. They have no limit on age or anything like that. And so parents need to protect their children. And the reality is, if we don't inoculate them against the stuff that's coming at them, then they won't have a leg to stand on when they pick up a book that looks innocent on the cover, but it actually is going to give them an idea that they either can't understand or can't can't argue against. And what you guys are doing really at Brave Books, I think, is helping parents sort of inoculate their kids against these lies that are being pushed out in the culture by teaching them truth, right? And doing that at an early age.
Yeah. And, and it's a challenge for parents, because a lot of these ideas, like how do you talk to a 7-year-old about some of these topics?
Right.
Or a 5-year-old, and kids don't learn the same way that adults learn. You and I can have a conversation and we can talk about topics on a conceptual level and process that fine. Kids just don't do that. That's not the way they learn. They learn best through story. And our stories are just really fun, engaging. It draws the kids in and then gives parents a framework to then have a deeper conversation. You know, so then they can just point to the story. Hey, you know how Bongo, was dealing with this? Well, why do you think he was dealing with this? And then the kids just get it. And so that's why I think parents just they just view our books as very valuable tools, is because it just makes having these conversations so much easier than it normally would be if you were just off the cuff trying to have a conversation about gender reality or the sanctity of life.
Right. You guys launched the See You at the Library campaign with Kirk Cameron in 2022. How is that going?
Oh, it was a blast. So it started, I'm sure your audience is aware, but I'll just cover it briefly. Started when we launched his first book, As You Grow, which teaches biblical wisdom. And he wanted to go into enemy territory and teach these values to kids that are in, blue areas. And so we reached out to 54 different libraries that had sponsored directly story hours. We weren't even asked to be sponsored. We just asked for space.
Right.
They all either denied us or ignored us.
Were you surprised by that?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I was thinking, hey, that'd be fun to do, maybe get a little bit of press and it'd be a cool thing for the community. But then they all turned us down. It was never.
It's almost like they're talking to each other. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, well, we definitely learned that they are.
Yeah. That's the American Library Association for you, right? They just sent out a memo and basically said, these guys are not your friend and we don't want them in the libraries. And then they just fall in lockstep. Yeah,
exactly. And so we went on this story hour tour where we fought back against these libraries and threatened lawsuits, and they backed down. So we'd go around and have these story hours in different communities and incredible turnouts. But, Brave and Kirk, we could only be at one place at one time. And we had people emailing us all over the country saying, hey, come to my city, come, we'll host you. And so what we decided to do was on August the 5th, 2023, we hosted our first ever National See You at the Library Day, where we encouraged people from across the country to host their own story hours. And had over 10,000 people show up at public libraries across the country. And it was incredible.
Did you get pushback?
Oh yeah. They even in Alabama, in Huntsville, Alabama.
Come on.
they canceled it. They canceled the story hour reading because, it was against their values or whatever. And then we pushed back and then they backed down. And that's one thing we've learned is like, if you fight, they're kind of weak and oftentimes they back down and we don't want to, we never want to create a precedent of like being bullied or canceled. Right. So we'll fight back. We'll threaten lawsuit and really go after them. But that's the way to do it, because if you don't, then you create this precedent and they do talk to each other. And so we knew that if we let any single library win by canceling us, everybody else will do the same thing.
That's right.
So that's been our strategy and it's worked.
Yeah. Well, that's the way that you fight against this leftist ideology. I had Mike Ferris on the show last week, and we were talking a little bit about how you win in the culture that we're in right now. And he said the most important thing that people need to understand is you cannot give these people an inch when it comes to freedom. If they even get their foot in the door with regard to taking away parents' rights, this is why the Biden administration has been emboldened to basically weaponize the Department of Justice against parents who really just want the best for their children. They don't want their kids seeing this stuff. They don't want their fourth grader reading erotica and viewing porn under the guise of a cartoon, right? They don't want that. And so most people understand that, but we have been kind of taught, I mean, conservatives are sort of quiet. Like we just want to live quiet lives. We want to have a job, raise our families. And what's happening on the other side is these people are actually waging war. And so we need to be willing and ready to stand up to them and fight for what we know is right. And that's what you guys are doing. You said that in one of the books, at least, right, you guys are kind of covering the topic of gender. Can you tell us a little bit about that story? Because I think it's pretty cool. I want parents to sort of get a vision for what you're doing.
Yeah. Well, first, I just want to say that, yeah, you're spot on. But not only not give an inch, I think we got to go on the offensive.
Absolutely.
Put them on the
100%. Yeah. I should have said that. You right.
Yeah. But it's true, because if we're just like, no further, then we're having that defensive posture. We're not going to gain any ground, because where we're at now isn't good enough.
That's right.
Yeah. Kids do not need to be growing up in the world that in the state of the culture that it is. And so we need to make forward momentum, and we need to be on the offensive. But okay.
I agree.
So Elephants Are Not Birds. Elephants Are Not Birds was our first book that we ever came out with in July of 2021. And yeah, it's about a little elephant, or an elephant named Kevin the elephant. And Kevin the elephant is from this town called Tokotok. And elephants in that town, they're sort of like the UPS drivers. You know, they're bringing supplies all over town, and he doesn't like it too much. He'd rather be singing. You know, he loves to sing. And then one day he's singing and he's sort of whining about, carrying carts. And a vulture named Culture swoops in, he's sort of listening, and he swoops in and tells Kevin the elephant, hey, you're not really an elephant. You're a bird. You sing so well. Surely you must be a bird. And Kevin loves that idea because he doesn't have to carry carts around and can just sing. And so Culture gives him a beak and some wings, and he tries his hand at being a bird. And so he has a really hard time of it, and ends with it. Well, he sort of gets to hit at the low point is whenever he tries to climb the big white pine and fly, and it doesn't go too well.
Mm-hmm.
And then but the story is a happy ending, because that white pine catches fire, and Kevin saves the day by embracing his inner elephantness and putting the water out with his big trunk. And so, and that was our first story, and kids love that story. And it obviously teaches that we're all made the way that God made us, and that's how we need to act.
Yeah. And I think it's worth noting these books are beautifully illustrated. I don't know who's doing your illustrations, but they're awesome at it. Yeah. And it really is. I've read the books to my grandsons. And so we've got Brave Books over here at Mamsie's house, and they love it, and they'll sit down and listen. It's really important that we raise a generation who isn't afraid to stand up for truth. And what really you're teaching the children to do that through the process of telling a story. And that's how Jesus did it, right? Jesus told parables, and we need to be inoculating our kids. I really love it. Where can people go to support the mission of Brave? Because you guys are going to have, there's going to be more battles, right, in the days to come. And as this grows, and I have a feeling it's going to get even much bigger than it is now. You guys, have 150,000 books in or households, right, across the country now?
Yeah. We're growing. We're getting into live action television, potentially animated television over the next few years. We think there's a big need, and we think that we're the people to basically deliver on that need. We've got the creative team, we've got the grit, and so we're very motivated. We want to see our vision come to be. Yeah. And because we think it needs to happen. As far as supporting Brave Books, go to bravebooks.com and subscribe to the Freedom Island Book Club. That's sort of our lifeblood, is our subscription. And your kids or grandkids will go on this incredible journey for years and years. And along the way, they'll get a lot of truth. They'll have a lot of fun. Their imagination will be sparked. And what's great about Brave Books is you can actually trust us with your kid's imagination, because it's so precious. And we're never going to betray that trust.
I love that. I just had Kevin Sorbo on my show a couple of weeks ago, and he was talking about his new book, And he's talking about masculinity, right?
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's something that's so important.
Nobody better to do that than Hercules, dude.
Right, exactly.
Come on. I love it. It's great. Well, I'm really excited. If people decide that they want to sign up for the subscription service, how often do they get a book?
Once a month.
Okay.
Yeah. And we get testimony after testimony of it's the best day of these kids' month, because kids love to get mail.
Yeah.
There's something, I don't know, something about it where kids love to get things in the mail, and we've got this unique package with Mr. Mouse, one of our characters. It's an image of him running on the package, and they love it. And then it comes with stickers. In the back of the book, we have Brave Challenges, which are games and discussion questions that really help the family come together and have fun, and then talk about the different lesson that's covered in each book. And so, yeah, we really hope that our books, whenever you go subscribe, that you'll use it as a way to get off screens, come together, have fun, and talk about topics that are important, and help the values that you as parents hold dear, instill those into your kids, because I see it too often, where the kids have a whole different ideology and worldview than the parents, and it creates this separation, and that's so unhealthy for everybody.
Well, you can largely thank the public school for that. And I talk to parents, almost daily here at Friendly Planet Family that said, hey, my kids have been in this, this so-called good school district for the last 5 years. And one day over lunch, they realize, I don't know my kid at all. Like they have a value system that's completely foreign to me. And it's because a drip every day, a slow drip is happening into the lives of these kids. And it really is changing their ideology. And parents are going to have to be more proactive. And that's exactly what you guys are doing at Brave Books. You're helping parents be proactive, bringing up subjects that maybe they might be afraid to sort of wade into, but you're doing it in a way that is both delightful to children and educational as well. I'm pretty excited because I'm going to start writing for you guys. Yeah. Yeah.
We're super excited. I think it's January.
It's January. Yes.
Yeah. So we're super excited to have you as an author, and it's going to be a ton of fun helping promote and get the word out.
Yeah.
And I've seen a sneak peek of the book, and it's a lot of fun.
It's really a lot of fun. And actually, I showed it to my grandsons the other day, and I was, look at this, you guys, Mamsie's writing a book. And they were all about it. That little mouse and the character and the big ship that flies and the whole thing. So really excited. I'm really excited to be joining the Brave family, and really looking forward to working with you guys. Thank you so much for what you're doing. And we're going to continue praying for you. I had an idea as you were talking. I was thinking, of all the people that listen to this show, I mean, thousands of people are going to download it. This is a great Christmas gift. You can get subscriptions for your grandchildren, or for your nieces and nephews, or for kids from your church. What an awesome opportunity we have to actually breathe life into the lives of these kids and support a company that is honoring our values as Christians and as conservatives, and just helping raise up a generation of kids who are going to be able to stand up and understand a lie when they see it. It's just a fantastic thing. Trent Talbot, really a joy to have you here. Thank you for coming on. Let's do it again.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
If you guys want more information on Brave Books, head on over to HeidiSt.John.com/podcast and scroll down, and you will find all the information that you need. I hope you will take it to heart and support this awesome company doing amazing things. We need more people speaking in the lives of our kids with the truth that comes from Jesus Christ. Thank you guys so much for listening. I'll see you right back here again at the intersection of faith and culture.